Hello everyone, Michael the Librarian of Magic here, finding and cataloging the magical and pointing you to it. I have returned with my wife Erin again this time.
Yay!
And today is October the 30th.
Woo!
All Hallows Eve. And,
so close.
Yep, we're almost to the end of this second season project, whatever you want to call it. Drawing a Disney villain or Halloween treat every
Season
day.
2.
And I have another one today, just like all the rest of the days. And same disclaimers as always apply. You know what those are by now. And if you don't, then you can find them in the first video in this series. So with that being said, today's treat. Da-da-da-da. The Hitchhiking Ghosts.
I very intentionally decided to be here for this one. So excited.
From the Haunted Mansion ride.
Excited.
They're all in their Doom Buggy.
Doom buggy.
Doom Buggy. And, you know, they're hitchhiking, ready to come home with you to haunt you and harass you. Let's see. Officially, they're only called the Skeleton, the Prisoner. I drew his, you can kind of see his ball and chain here
Oh.
in his lap.
I never noticed that.
Yeah. So the Skeleton, the Prisoner, and the Traveler. Semi-officially, and really at this point, it's kind of official. Their names are Ezra, the Skeleton, Gus, the Prisoner, and Phineas, the Traveler. They had first and last names essentially given to them in the like Ghost Gallery lore. I talked about that in the Madame Leota video of the series, where the people who were that worked in the attraction at Walt Disney World started giving these characters backstories because they frequently asked questions, but all that stuff was unofficial. And this one, the backstories and everything are still unofficial. I'll get to those in a minute, and you'll understand why. But the names for these guys, particularly their first names, they came up with last names for Phineas and Ezra, not Gus. Again, they did with Gus as well, I guess. I'll get to that in a second. But the first name stuck. There has been merchandise. There have been Funkos and like Funko Pops and other things, official merchandise where they're called Ezra, Gus, and Phineas. So it's considered to be semi-official only because they're not called Ezra, Gus, or Phineas in the mansion. But at
like nobody, like Leota they say, but not these guys' names.
At Walt Disney World, they even put up 3 tombstones with the names Ezra, Phineas, and Gus.
I don't know how you get much more official than that.
So it's pretty official that at least their first names are Ezra, Phineas, and Gus. Okay. The Skeleton, the Prisoner, the Traveler.
All right.
They were... Let's see, what's some fun stuff about them? They were designed in... when the original attraction came out in the late 60s.
They're from the beginning?
Yep. And they were designed, they were conceived by Mark Davis and Blaine Gibson. Mark Davis is, of course, one of Walt Disney's 9 Old Men, classic legendary animator. Blaine Gibson, let me talk about Blaine Gibson for a second.
Okay.
You want to hold that?
I'll try to.
So Blaine Gibson has a cool kind of backstory that I just wanted to mention because I haven't really talked about him on the channel before. He was an animator and eventually an Imagineer with Walt Disney. He was born in Colorado, so
Yay!
We're from Colorado, so he's representing.
The Centennial State.
He was originally from Rocky Ford.
Okay.
And then he went to college at Western State in Gunnison, which only people around here know what we're talking about. And then he transferred from there to go to CU in Boulder.
Oh, really?
And he dropped out of the University of Colorado and went
so it almost had an alumni. Or are you still considered an alumni if you don't graduate?
If you're famous, you do.
Okay, fair enough.
Because there are a lot, like Robert Redford, he never graduated, but he's a famous alumni, whatever.
Got it.
Anyway, he went, after his college times, he went to California and applied to work at Disney in 1939. And he got a job there as an assistant animator. And he worked for quite a while on a bunch of different projects as an assistant animator because he had some artistic and drawing skill. He worked on Fantasia, he worked on Bambi, Peter Pan.
Oh, wow, early on.
Yep, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, Song of the South, Alice in Wonderland. I mean, he worked on pretty much most of their projects for a huge, significant run. While he was working at Disney as an assistant animator, he got interested in the art of sculpting. He never tried it before. So he went and randomly learned
how to do
sculpture at Pasadena City College. He just went and learned.
That's awesome. It's just like, I know how to draw. Why don't I learn how to sculpt?
He went and learned sculpture at a community college, and when he was messing around with it just as a hobby, it caught Walt's attention. Oh. And Walt asked him if he wanted to participate in the Disneyland project.
No way.
So,
just because he took some classes at community college. Wow.
So then after that, his sculptures are, you see him everywhere. He did sculpting on the Jungle Cruise. He did sculpting for the Enchanted Tiki Room.
My favorite things he did sculpting for.
He did sculpting for all the 1964 World's Fair stuff. So It's a Small World, of, all the stuff that they debuted there. Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion, of course, and particularly these guys here.
Huh? Wow.
He also did a bunch of sculptures for the Hall of Presidents in Florida, and he kept sculpting the presidents all the way until George W. Bush. He was the sculptor of every one of them. And then the coolest thing to cap off his career, which a lot of people will know about, but don't necessarily know about this connection. In 1993, he was commissioned by Disney to make the Partners statue. The statue of Walt and Mickey that stands out in front of Disneyland. He sculpted that.
That's awesome. And, talk about a great finishing piece.
And in the same year that he was commissioned to sculpt the Partner statue, he was honored by becoming a Disney legend. So that's kind of so that's the kind of the career of Blaine Gibson. Wow. He had a really cool career track and everything like that.
So that's where these guys.
Yep, him and Mark Davis kind of designed the look of them.
Very cool.
They some other cool tidbits about them. They have had backstories and stories written about them in various comics, just like Madame Leota. There was a slave labor graphics comic series of the Haunted Mansion that features them. And also a Marvel.
How could you not?
Yeah, there's a Marvel.
They're required.
Totally.
You can't do Haunted Mansion and not have these guys in it.
Right.
You have failed.
And then there was a Marvel series called Disney Kingdoms where they featured a few shorts on Disney XD. They were in some episodes of House of Mouse and House of Villains. They're pretty rare. They're extremely rare as like meetable characters in the parks. But whenever they have anniversaries for the mansion, like 40th, 50th, 60th, whatever. You can see them. And also they're in parades, like they were at Oogie Boogie's Bash in the Halloween parade. There's usually a Haunted Mansion float. And
again,
wherever there's if something official with Haunted Mansion, they're usually involved because they're kind of what's known as the poster ghosts of the Haunted Mansion. They're featured on more Haunted Mansion merchandise than any other thing in the mansion because they're
poster ghosts. I like it.
They're just sort of iconically associated.
Absolutely.
With the mansion.
Definitely. If anybody has not been in some slight way traumatized by them, like they really didn't go on the Haunted Mansion.
I think that's the reason why they ended up being the poster ghost, because you start noticing all the details of the mansion if you ride it a bunch of times, or if you're, hardcore faithfuls like people like we are, and you ride it a bunch of times, then you start noticing all the details of the mansion. But if you only ride the Haunted Mansion once, you're definitely going to remember the Hitchhiking Ghosts, because there's such a spectacular illusion at the end of the ride where one of the three ghosts will end up joining you in your doom buggy because they're hitchhiking.
They want to come out. They're going to come with you.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's obviously very impactful for me. It's very terrifying.
Right. So they're trying to, help the mansion fill their quota and haunt the mortals so that we'll become the 1000th ghost or whatever, and they are hitchhiking their way home with you. So in the end of the ride, they do end up getting in your buggy with you and following you around. They're also featured sometimes in when Disney have those PhotoPass park photographers.
Yes.
Sometimes they set up where they do pictures of people in front of the mansion, and in those pictures they'll take your picture, but then when you get your pictures back, they'll have one of these guys.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like secretly with you.
Someday we'll have to do that.
That's something that they do sometimes.
Nice.
There's some other cool things that are like Easter eggy things. If you really pay attention to the details with
Oh, right. Sorry.
With Phineas, he carries a, like, hand or carpet bag.
Oh.
And in the ride, there's, like, stuff inside of it. Like, if you're really eagle-eyed or pay attention, there's a candelabra, an urn, a bust of Charles Dickens, and a portrait of Cousin Maud from the Dredd family busts that are in the queue. Nice. So he has, like, all this stuff in there. And then Ezra has a briefcase with him. You can't see it in this drawing. Mm-hmm. But he's got stickers of, for Florida and Hong Kong and Anaheim. Where all the different mansions are.
Nice.
So that's kind of a cool little sort of Easter egg thing. And then one of the other great Easter eggs I found is at Tokyo Disney in their Star Tour. They have a version of Star Tours at Tokyo Disney. At the end of the queue when you're deboarding the Star Tours, they have 3 droids that are posed like the Hitchhiking Ghosts. One of them is an old RX-24 droid, which is basically an old Rex. He's an old pilot droid. And then the other 2 are F-Series repair droids, but they're all... I have a picture of them, so you can see it right here. And so then you can see how they have, repurposed them so it looks like...
make another iconic exit to a ride.
So, I mean...
Nice! That's a great touch.
I want to go to all the Disney parks if I can, but really high on my list is Tokyo.
Yeah.
Tokyo and Tokyo Disney Sea. And that would be one more cool reason to go there.
I'll have to take a picture by it.
Yep, to see those hitchhiking droids.
Nice. A little less scary, have to say, than a bunch of hitchhiking ghosts, but so, I'll take a droid any day over a ghost.
Before I had mentioned the unofficial backstories that were made up in what's called the Ghost Gallery, which is like the unofficial notebook they had behind the scenes at Walt Disney World, and I talked about that in the Madame Leota episode, and I read her unofficial story. I'll read the ones for these guys as well. So you can, everybody can hear them, you can react to them.
Nice. Yes, I have not heard these yet.
They're weird. I will say with these particular ones, in my opinion, it's pretty obvious why they're not official in any way.
They just kept the names.
In my opinion, they're horrible. And should remain unofficial. But it is also, I also do think it's a really fun... unofficial part of Disney history that these, people who worked there made these, and it's a really cool thing that they made. So I'm in no way disparaging, their creativity and their work, but like, there's good reasons they're not official.
They didn't just print this thing. There are reasons why they didn't.
I'm reading them because it's really fun Halloween treat, and it's a fun thing. But yeah.
So the backstories on these 3. Who are we starting with?
We're gonna start with Gus. The prisoner.
Okay.
Gus Gracie. Gus was born into the Ohio branch of the family. So the Haunted Mansion is considered to be Gracie Manor, or Gracie Mansion, which is a nod to, why is his name slipping my mind? One of the guys who was one of the Imagineers who did all the illusions, he was a magician by trade, and he built illusions.
Yeah.
A lot of his tricks and everything are involved in the Haunted Mansion. Gail Gracie is his name. Anyway.
So he is related to the family.
Yeah, so he was born into the Ohio branch of the family. George Gracie Sr.'s second cousin Gus was a genetic dwarf and a deviant. His childhood had been plagued by incidents caused by his violence. He had killed several family pets and attempted to murder his siblings several times. Ooh. His parents finally had him institutionalized, but after several years of confinement, he escaped. Although his parents moved in an attempt to lose him, Gus managed to find them and follow them wherever they moved. In his wanderings, he maimed or killed many people and animals. It was a delight for him to laugh hysterically while beating people or animals with his ball and chain. He would knock people down by wrapping the chain around their legs, then he would exclaim, "Now you're down to Gus size." As far as he was concerned, his attacks were always justified, but the wrongs against him were usually imagined. Gus finally caught up with his parents by mailing himself to them. He killed them after they attempted to nail him back in the crate. He then waited for some relative to take him home. That relative turned out to be George Gracie Sr. Realizing Gus's potential threat, Gracie Sr. kept Gus locked up in the mansion. When Master Gracie inherited the mansion, he discovered his charge. To ensure that Gus would not further damage the Gracie reputation in the community, Master Gracie looked to Madame Leota for a solution. She cast a spell on Gus, dooming him to be confined to the mansion's boundaries for his life and beyond. Gus met his end while trying to drown the stray cats at the mansion. He slipped and fell in the well himself.
Oh. Wow, that is dark.
Yeah, these are really dark and like,
no.
I don't know why they thought.
I think it's like, it was like, oh, he's like a kind of odd relative, and then it just went real dark, real quick. Ugh.
And then Ezra Dobbins and Phineas Queeg.
Oh, they're together.
Were friends of Gus Gracie. The three were cellmates at the Salem Asylum for the Criminally Insane.
Well,
Ezra was a voyeur. This is truly horrible, and why it will never be used as
actual
official,
material.
Yeah. Ezra was a voyeur. His lean frame was ideal for climbing trellises and trees. He developed a fascination with obese women and sought out the most rotund young ladies to spy upon. Ezra was finally caught skulking in the boudoir of the mayor's ample daughter. When this corpulent miss took the stand, the chair groaned under her weight. The court did not hesitate to accept Ezra's insanity plea and commit him to the Salem Asylum. Because, I mean, who would possibly be trying to creep on overweight women? He must be insane. Yikes, guys. Yikes. Phineas was a discredited chemist who made his living as a snake oil peddler. He traveled the countryside, carpet bag at his side, seeking the most ignorant rubes to buy his worthless potions. His diabolical sense of humor led Phineas to spike his wares with ingredients he knew would cause unwanted side effects, i.e. his hair tonic was actually a depilatory. Phineas made his final mistake when he sold Queeg's youth elixir to the chief of police, causing the man's voice to raise an octave. Criminal charges were promptly filed. A parade of hapless witnesses, combined with Phineas's snickering in court, led him to the Salem Asylum. The three cellmates spent their time planning their escape. Ezra fasted until he could squeeze through the bars to reach the keys and unlock the cell door. Once the three were free of their cell, Gus toppled the guards with his ball and chain, while Phineas set off a smoke bomb to prevent their pursuers from chasing them. The three friends hitchhiked down the road. They would hop aboard the moving vehicle regardless of whether the coach or carriage stopped for them or not. That's in line with the mansion.
Yeah,
That's a cool thing. Passengers were startled when the three friendly little fellows plopped down beside them or on their laps, which they still do when you ride in the mansion.
It's true.
Ezra always aimed for the plumpest female. Phineas picked out the stupidest looking, and Gus just wanted to play with the children. Ezra Dobbins and Phineas Queeg met their ends at a carnival. Phineas sampled a quack remedy at the medicine show. Ironically, he died not from the quack remedy, but rather he cut his lip on the bottle cap and died from lead poisoning. Likewise,
oddly specific.
Right. Likewise, Ezra's fetish ultimately caused his demise. He snuck into the sideshow fat lady's tent and was killed when she inadvertently sat on him after he had crept up behind her. So, yeah, he had a fetish. You're not going to have anything official Disney with the word fetish in it. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. Years later, Madame Leota cast a spell confining Gus to the mansion for as long as he lived, an eternity after that, but she took pity on the lonely dwarf and summoned the spirits of his two departed friends to keep him company. They decided to stay, and there they'll remain until they spot someone they'd rather follow home. So there is a bunch of stuff in there that is probably worthy of adapting or keeping as sort of official, and there's a bunch of stuff in there that you can just leave as a historical, fun document of... Disney park history. It is a cool thing that,
a little too much time on their hands.
It's a cool thing for fans and everything like that they put this stuff online and everybody contributed to it. I bring it up mostly because people have probably heard those things circulate around and
I didn't even know this thing existed.
The true thing or the real thing, but that's from the Ghost Gallery, and that's sort of a cool. There's a lot of cool stuff about the mansion and the different characters they've done over the years. There was a cool thing at one point called the Ghost Post where Disney ran this, you call it a promotional or something, but the first 999 people to sign up for this thing would get sent these mystery parcels in the mail.
No,
and then
that's awesome.
You would be able to decipher the stuff that's in there based on this app that would go with it, the Phantom Radio app, where it would tell you stuff on this radio dial.
Yeah.
And also the Phantom Radio app, if you happen to be one of those people and you lived somewhere near the parks, you could go to the parks and interact with the characters in the mansion and the shop and unlock.
We need to do this again for more people.
I know. It would be amazing.
That's magical.
It's super amazing.
If it wasn't already magical enough to be on the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
I know. So there's so many cool. I mean, the mansion is just wonderful.
Oh, we love the mansion.
There's nothing.
Clearly,
There's nothing more magical than that. Like, it is a giant interactive magic trick.
And it was genuinely terrifying for me as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, like, the dancers were beautiful, but, like, you went down, like, the hallways. I found that a little scary. The, like, things knocking. And then those guys at the end, I don't know. Well, probably because my uncle convinced me that they were real. He's like, I guess they're coming with us. And I was like, they must be. He said so. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things where if you're with little kids, it's really easy to sell it because
because it's so well done.
The illusions are very
believable. Because it looks real. Pretty crazy.
For me, even when I was a kid, I was never super.
Well, you loved Ghostbusters and all sorts of like.
There were some parts of it that were a little frightening.
Yeah, a little creepy.
But for the most part, it was always just sort of fun for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and it was cool too, because going, like you were saying before, like once you've gone through it enough times, you start seeing all of these other things. So I'm really curious to look next time for like what's in their bags, because I've never, and I don't think I've like paid a ton of attention. I'm in the future, I'm gonna notice how many times I get each of them, because it varies by your buggy. So
it does. You never know who's what. And
I'll see my probability of getting.
And now you'll know if it's Ezra or Phineas or Gus.
I know. Gus to me is the most terrifying. Like
really?
beating things with. I mean, not when you see him on here.
I mean, that's not what officially happens.
That's true. That's true. He doesn't look so. I think the skeleton guy is.
To me, Gus always seems like the more goofy, harmless one of the bunch.
That's true.
Ezra is the one that seems scary to me.
Pretty scary. Yeah, you're right. I think if you just like didn't hear their. I mean, I guess when I went as far as backstory. But just like seeing.
But I guess there is a thing too, though, where it's like of the three, Gus is a prisoner.
Yeah,
and so it's like, why did
honestly,
he become
I didn't know that they were different occupations.
Well, he's always carrying his ball and chain with him.
I just don't know if I realized that, except for like the promotional pictures that I've seen. But I don't know that like even that I was paying attention to as much. I'm very unobservant.
You'll notice.
I know. Now I'm gonna know.
And they creep up beside you, and they're like, "Room for one more."
Still, I don't know. Still, it gives me a little bit of not so sure. So anyway, I'm so glad. I think your picture turned out pretty good. Yeah,
it's not bad. This is one that
the details are hard.
When I drew the Maleficent picture, I was like, this is one that was great because it looks difficult, but it's kind of not.
Yeah.
This is one that looks difficult, and it was difficult.
It genuinely was as hard as it was.
Yeah, because there's a lot of proportional stuff here and little details. You kind of got to zoom in to see a lot of this stuff, like the bag and the ball and chain and the clothing and getting it just right where they're, his hands on the lap bar, and it was a challenge. And it came out pretty good. Yeah. It's not perfect, but it's
absolutely.
Definitely see what it is.
I think it's a great learning one to learn the details. And...
I actually based this on, there's a Christmas ornament that's this, where it's the three guys in the Doom buggy or whatever, and I just found an image of the ornament on like Shop Disney or something, and I drew...
Based on the ornament.
I drew the ornament.
So, if you want to get a cool ornament, this is an ornament.
Yep.
So,
yeah, if you like this image, you could buy that as an ornament to hang on your Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And whatever. But if you've been to the mansion, they've already followed you home. They're in your house.
I know, it's too late now. I wonder if I have them all. I'm assuming I've had them all.
I am
because
assuming.
I've been on them.
Yeah, we've both been on it.
The probability is that all three of them live in the house with us. And that's terrifying.
I think the last time we were at Walt Disney World, we at least had probably Gus and Phineas.
That sounds right. I think Phineas, I know for sure we had. But anyway. It's exciting and lovely and obviously makes me really happy. So thank you for doing this one.
Thanks for joining me. Thank you for watching these.
Yeah, thank you for spreading about how much we love this.
Tomorrow's going to be Halloween, so it'll be...
And I'm going to be in that one too because I'm super excited about it.
It'll be the end of the Enterprise. There will be one more treat left. Thanks as always for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you're a big fan of the Mansion or the Hitchhiking Ghosts, let me know if you've got any stories or memories about them or little tidbits that you'd like to let me know about.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Who did you get? Did you like the people you got?
Yeah.
Is it terrifying to you or are you not terrified? Like I'm terrified.
Or are there other characters that you love more than the Hitchhiking Ghosts? Let me know down below.
Yeah.
Until next time, I hope this was a great little magical fun thing in the middle middle of your day. And until the next one, Halloween tomorrow.
Woo!
See you then.
Halloween!
Bye-bye.